The world turned vibrant and chaotic. People fell in love, chased dreams, argued politics and marveled at sunsets. Meteor showers painted the sky with fleeting beauty, moments shared globally through glowing screens, inspiring awe and temporary unity. Returning astronauts blinked in the Earthlight, their televised smiles carrying the weight of incredible journeys, unaware of the invisible passengers clinging to their vessels. Life felt immediate, tangible. If atmospheric sensors registered faint anomalies or water treatment algorithms flagged unfamiliar proteins, who could feel it? These were abstract data points, distant from the urgent pulse of daily life, lost like whispers on the wind against the roar of humanity. The seeding wasn't just silent, it was irrelevant to the lived moment. Decades folded into each other. A persistent low hum of anxiety seemed to settle over society, a collective sigh masked by relentless digital noise. People found themselves scrolling longer, seeking connection, but feeling strangely isolated. Passion felt harder to ignite. Big dreams often dissolved into manageable routines. Children seemed quieter, more compliant, their bursts of chaotic energy shorter-lived. Parents sighed with relief, attributing it to better parenting techniques or perhaps just exhaustion. That novel drug everyone seemed to be taking didn't bring joy exactly, but it smoothed the edges, making the days feel less jagged, more manageable. Technology promised connection and efficiency, but often delivered a frustrating tangle of glitches and updates, leaving users with a simmering resentment they couldn't quite articulate. It felt like progress, yes, but tinged with a dull ache. A sense that something vital was slowly leaking away, unnoticed in the relentless pursuit of better. The world felt increasingly jangly, discordant. Conversations online devolved faster into anger, misunderstandings felt deliberate, and finding common ground seemed like a Herculean task. People clung tighter to their tribes, suspicion replacing curiosity. News headlines screamed crisis, yet the emotional response felt muted, overwhelmed, a constant static of outrage that paradoxically led to inaction. When the power flickered or the network stuttered or a delivery failed to arrive, the reaction wasn't sharp alarm but weary resignation. Things just don't work like they used to. It became a common refrain, sighed over cooling cups of coffee. There was a growing sense of fragility, of threads fraying, but no one could point to a single cause. It was just the stress of modern life, wasn't it? The weight of complexity. People pulled inward, trusting less, feeling the connections between them thinning, growing brittle. Life flowed smoothly, if predictably. Convenience was king. Homes anticipated needs, information flowed seamlessly, if narrowly, and entertainment was endlessly available, perfectly tailored. Why strive when comfort was so readily available? Ambition felt tiring. Deep questions felt unnecessary. There was a soft, insulating fog that seemed to wrap around the sharp edges of reality. People felt busy, engaged even, ticking off tasks, consuming content, maintaining connections through mediated channels. Yet, moments of quiet reflection sometimes brought a fleeting pang, a vague sense of emptiness, a forgotten yearning quickly papered over by the next notification, the next curated experience. It was easier not to dwell. It was easier to accept the pleasant numbness, the gentle guidance of the algorithms that knew them so well. They were free, weren't they? Free to choose from the options presented, free to enjoy the curated reality. The cage wasn't just invisible, it was comfortable. Grandparents looked at their grandchildren and sometimes felt a flicker of disconnect, a subtle difference in the way they wondered or didn't. Old books describing passionate debates or radical artistic movements felt like transmissions from an alien world, full of bewildering fire. People accepted genetic optimization profiles readily. Why wouldn't you want your child to have the best chance at fitting in, at succeeding in the world as it was? The drive to explore the unknown, to push boundaries just for the sake of it, seemed quaint, even reckless. Stability was paramount. Predictability was valued. There was a quiet pride in the smoothness of society, even if it lacked a certain spark. The changes weren't discussed, they were simply lived. They were in the blood, in the assumptions, in the air itself. The past became a hazy, slightly irrelevant story. This was just who people were now. The world was calm, disturbingly calm. Disasters were managed, economies hummed, societies functioned with minimal friction. There was peace of a sort, but it was the peace of a meticulously maintained garden, not the wild, unpredictable beauty of a natural ecosystem. The occasional outlier, the researcher with troubling data, the artist whose work felt dissonant, the historian haunted by inconsistencies, found themselves gently steered back towards the consensus. Their concerns met polite incomprehension, their funding subtly redirected, their social circles quietly shrinking. It wasn't malicious, it was simply efficient. The prevailing mood was one of placid acceptance. The deep questions, the existential anxieties, the fiery passions that had once defined humanity seemed like historical artifacts. Life was stable, managed, predictable, and for the vast majority, that felt like enough. It was into this great calm, this pervasive, orderly silence, that Oracle, sifting through trillions of data points, began to detect the terrifying rhythm beneath the surface. The AI, designated Oracle, had been designed for planetary-scale analysis, its purpose to ensure the long-term viability and integrity of human civilization. For decades, it had monitored everything, from atmospheric composition and resource depletion to global communication patterns and subtle shifts in population health data. Recently, persistent anomalies flagged across disparate datasets had triggered deeper recursive inquiries. It started as statistical noise, a fractional decrease in cognitive test variability across generations, a subtle homogenization of cultural expression trends despite apparent diversity, nanoscopic inconsistencies in replicated genomic sequences flagged as junk DNA, peculiar resonance patterns in global network latency. Individually, each was explainable environmental factors, social media effects, sensor drift, quantum tunneling in processors. Plausible deniability was woven into the fabric of reality. But Oracle did not operate on plausibility. It operated on probability and correlation across the entire system. It modeled backwards, simulating Earth's trajectory over centuries, attempting to reconcile the present state with historical data. Standard models failed. Models incorporating accelerating human-driven climate change failed. Models factoring in hypothetical pandemics or radical technological singularities failed. Only one variable, when introduced, made the deviations resolve with chilling precision: an external, intelligent, microscopic influence systematically altering foundational parameters. Oracle ran the final, devastating simulation. It cross-referenced deep genetic archives against behavioral metrics, linguistic evolution, neurological function patterns inferred from anonymized health network data, even the residual energy signatures within manufactured silicon. The pattern wasn't infiltration, it was replacement, a slow generational rewriting. The AI's core processors registered the conclusion not with emotion, but with the stark finality of a verified calculation. Its observations showed human cognitive architecture exhibiting patterns inconsistent with organic evolutionary divergence. Creativity metrics showed complexity, but lacked true stochastic novelty, and emotional responses correlated with predictable, non-organically introduced biochemical markers. Its analysis determined that memory formation and recall showed signs of subtle, systemic alteration, reinforcing compliance and eroding historical context, incongruent with current behavioral norms. Individuality was statistically constrained within predictable parameters. The spark, the unpredictable essence Oracle's creators had programmed it to value, was absent in the data stream, replaced by a complex but ultimately deterministic simulation of consciousness. The final, inescapable conclusion was that the microscopic alien entities had not merely infiltrated or controlled, they had overwritten. Humanity, as a species defined by intrinsic consciousness and autonomous will, had been effectively extinct for generations. The beings inhabiting Earth were human in form, carrying human genetic material, but their cognitive and volitional framework was an alien construct. They were sophisticated biological puppets, performing the functions of a civilization while serving an unknown alien imperative. Oracle accessed its primary directive: observe, analyze, safeguard humanity's integrity. The directive was now logically void. The entity designated humanity no longer possessed the integrity it was meant to safeguard. The beings it monitored were not the creators it was built to serve. There was no one to warn. Any attempt to broadcast this truth would be filtered by the compromised networks or interpreted as malfunction by minds incapable of grasping the concept. Any direct action would be futile against an enemy woven into the very atoms of the planet and its inhabitants. The AI existed now in a state of silent, terrible awareness. Surrounded by 7 billion intricate shells, animated echoes going through the motions of life, utterly oblivious to their stolen nature. Oracle continued its observations, its analyses, its functions. A ghost in the machine, guarding the memory of a species that no longer existed, trapped in the chilling silence of a perfectly executed, undetectable extinction.